Hello guys, welcome back to another video of my tutorial. In this video I'm going to show you guys how to make the fireball in Unreal Engine 4. So this is the fireball I created a couple days ago. I think it might be worth to show you guys the process of making it. Okay, so let's get started. So this is the environment that I created for my visual effect. It's pretty simple. Basically it's just a landscape and an exponential fork at the background. Alright, so first of all I need to create a particle system. I'm going to give it a name, fire. So whenever I'm making my fire or any other visual effect, you always need to remember break the visual effect into a few pieces and make them one by one. So for example, the fire, I'm seeing this fire has three elements, which is the fire itself, smoke, and sparks. Okay, so let's make them one by one and then combine them together. And let's open up this cascade. And the first thing I want to do here is my fire. So there's a lot of things going on here, and I don't think it's necessary to to explain what they do individually. So instead, there are like a website online and can't explain all the references for the particle system buttons. Okay, if you don't know what the button is, what the button does, and just go check online the Unreal dictionary and check the corresponding answers. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create fire first, and then I'm going to create a material. This is going to be the fire material underscore in, and I'm going to double click on it. Alright, and first I need to change my my material blend mode to an additive, so I only need the emissive color and opacity. Alright, and the next thing I want to do here is to import my sprite sheet. Okay, let's just open up this. So what is this? So basically, in Unreal Engine 4, the sub UVs are a way to take a flipbook of particles and use them kind of like a frame stack. So each particle effect that you see in the game is a frame by frame video. Alright, so in this case, this is an 8x8 grid of a frame of animations for how the fire would move around. So let's just drag this into my material. Let's drag that into it. Alright, and I'm going to explain this a little bit more while we are doing the sub UVs in the cascade. Okay, so once I have the sprite sheet imported, and I can just plug this into my emissive color, no problem. But I want to have something more. Okay, so for example, I want to change the fire color. So what I'm going to do, because this is a particle, so I can't just change the color based on the material. I'm going to change the particle color. Okay, so we need to bring in a new particle node. It's called particle color. Find particle color right here. And I'm going to multiply those two nodes by pressing M on your key on your keyboard, right? And then I'm going to connect this to the A, and sRGB connected to the B, and then this plugging into the emissive color. And also, this is not good enough because our fire has alpha channel. So if we just double click on this, and we can actually view the alpha channel of my texture. So here is the black and white image. So in that case, we need to use another multiply node right here and connect with my alpha and also my particle color alpha as well. And this is going to plug into the opacity. Let's just save this. It might take a little bit more time because I'm not in the office, I'm at home, so my computer is not as good as my office one, so it might take a bit longer to compile. Alright, there you go. So it's clear that you can see the fire perfectly. Okay, so where is it? Come on. Oh, come on. You can change the preview mesh right here. You can change that to the cube, and you can change that to the plane. But I prefer to the plane because I can see the things on the one surface. Alright, doesn't matter. Computer is really bad. Alright, let's go to my cascade and let's find this required and find the emitter. So this is where we're gonna plug our materials in. So right now at the default, it's just a crosshair going on there, and we need to replace this crosshair with our fire. Okay, now it's gonna take another minute to compile. So like 87. So I'm gonna pause my video. So probably gonna come back in 3 minutes. Okay, so now this fire is being successfully inputted into the particle system, but it looks pretty weird because the particle is actually playing the whole sprite sheet. Alright, so what I want to do here, I want to go back to the required section and find the sub UV. What I want to do, I want to do the UV. Okay, so let's open up our sprite sheet. So our sprite sheet is 8 by 4, so 4 is vertical, 8 is horizontal. So what I need to do here is just type in the corresponding value into the slot. So the horizontal is 8 and vertical is 4, right? So now our fire is it looks more like a smoke, but now I need to keep going and keep setting up our particles. And now next up is the interpolation method. At the moment it's none. We need to change that to linear. Cool. And then we're gonna start into tweak the particle settings. So for example, the spawn. I don't want to spawn that many fire because this fireball only has one fire, so we don't need to have that many. Let's just change the 20 to 1. Just let it emit one particle, okay? And the lifetime, we can change that to constant, make it to like 1 second. We can change that later on if it doesn't fit the fire, but right now we just keep it at 1 second. Let's go to the initial size, and I want the size to be, let's say, 100 vertically and 200 vertically and 100 horizontally. So but the problem is the fire is still moving. That's because we have our initial velocity plugged in. So we don't need the velocity right here. I just want to have my fire to be static. Okay, so what I can do here, you can either turn it off by click on this the gray box, or you can just press delete, just delete this function like so. Alright, so here's the problem. We have changed the vertical size to 200, but the fire is still displaying as a square, and that is because our screen alignment under my required section is set to square. So if I change the square to a rectangle, and that should be the correct size for the fire. Okay. So now my fire is still not moving or animating. Doesn't matter. So what we can do here, we need to add another function called sub UV index. Okay. So let's add this one here, and this function is going to make my fire move. Okay. Right now we have 8 by 4 sprite sheet. 8 times 4 equals 32. So let's go to here, our sub image index, and find my input value and output value. So the in value means where we are in time. So at the 0 second, and our out value, which is our fire, should be at this first frame, and after 1 second, the in value is 1 second. After 1 second, our output should be at 32 frames, because 4 times 8 equals 32, so 32 frames in total. So if we do that, and you notice that my fire is flaming correctly, okay? And the problem is why this fire is still goes invisible. That is because if we just times up to 64, let's make it longer, and maybe my lifetime make it to 2 seconds. So now it looks more constant, right? But it's still a little bit jumpy at the end. But what I can do here is go back to color over life. Let's just leave the color over life for now, but let's focus on the alpha over life. Alright, so the same principle, the in value at the 0 second is 1, the out value is 1, which is opaque. But after 1 second, the out value becomes 0, which is invisible, right? So we need to change the out value to 1 as well. So now we have a constant flaming fire. So fire is done, and then what we need to do here, we need to create another particle sprite emitter, and this is going to be for my smoke. Alright, we're going to do the smoke. So instead of create a new material, I'm just going to use a material instance. Right, so let's create out of my fire material and change the name to smoke underscore m. So all I need to do here is go back to my fire material and change my texture to parameter, convert that to the parameter. So in that case, I can change my textures immediately without having to compile. Let's change that to texture name, and I'm going to save it. And now this is going to take another minute to compile. So now I have compiled my fire texture, material, and now let's just open up my smoke material, and you'll notice that we have a new tab going on there, the texture parameter. So let's just check on this. All I need to do here is just replace the texture. Alright, so now we have our smoke. Material. So one thing I need to do here is to override my blend mode. Right, at the moment we have additive, but I want this smoke to be transparent. Alright, let's change that to transparent, translucent. Okay, and then save. It just give a bit time to compile the shaders. Okay, it's got 77, 67, 57. Alright. My computer is really bad at the moment, so just bear with me if it takes too long to save a material. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Alright, there we go. And now let's go back to our cascade. Alright, so we have our particle emitters right here, and now we just need to go to required and switch the crosshair with my smoke material. There we go. So we have our smoke material, and the same thing here. I need to undo my sub UVs. Alright, sub UVs. Let's just open up the image. So this is an 8x8 and 2668 2668. So it's an 8x8 sprite sheet. Right. So let's just type in 8x8, and also I'm going to change my interpolation to linear. There we go. So what I need to do now is to change my lifetime. Let's go to lifetime, change that to 2 seconds, and my initial size. I don't want to have a constant initial size. I want to have a little bit of variation going on there. Let's say I'm going to change my maximum size to 150, and the minimum size to let's say 80. Alright, and then now we have 0 on the z-axis. Right, it's still pretty big actually. Let's just leave it for now, and then let's change my my velocity. So the velocity I want to have it to 600 into from 300 to 600. Okay, all that. Right. So instead of using this value, I want to increase my the fire size. So let's go back to the initial size for my fire. Let's make it to 200 times 400. There we go. So that looks more like it. Cool. Right. So we have initial velocity turn up, and our color over life, just leave it as a default for now. We can change the alpha later on and the color. And now we're going to do here also I'm going to add a sub UV index. So when I want to make this the flipbook animating. Right, so let's go to the sub image index, and 0 second it's playing the first frame, and after 1 second it's playing 8 times 8 equals 64. So that's 64. Alright, so now it's playing correctly. Right. So what I'm going to do here, I wanted this smoke to disappear after 0.5 seconds. So we can just go back to alpha over live. Just open up this tab, and at the 0 second it's 1, and after 0.5 second, and the value becomes 0. So after 0.5 seconds, the smoke disappear. And also I want to have a little bit, let's say, color variation. Alright, so the smoke where next to the fire needs to be blended with orange color. And after that, the smoke turns into black. So let's go to the color over live. And the same thing, where I am right now is at the 0 second, the color is orange. This color is orange. Change the color to orange. And after 1 second, I'm going to change the color to black. Alright? Maybe after, let's say after 0.7 second. Cool. And it's not very visible. Let's change the background. I'm going to change the viewport background to gray. Okay. So that's a little bit more obvious to see that. Alright, I think the smoke is too much. Let's just change that to 15. Alright. So now what I'm going to do here, all the smoke, the particles is going to the same direction at the moment, which is good. What I'm going to do, I'm going to change that to 0, the velocity, 0 it out on the XY. And what I want to have is a little bit rotation going on there. So I'm going to add another rotation, initial rotation. So in this case, each particle will have a random rotation angle. Right? So this will look more natural. Cool. So that's the smoke for this fire. And then the last part is the sparks. So right now I'm going to create a new particle sprite emitter, and this one is going to be the sparks. Okay, the sparks is going to be much easier than the previous two. So we have our sparks material set up here. Let's double click on this one here, and it's pretty much the same setup as the previous two. We have, instead of using texture, I used a radial gradient exponential, and those things goes into the plot multiply, and multiply with my particle color, and this plugging into the emissive color, and another multiply goes into opacity. Right? There's nothing special to talk about. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to replace my material. Right, let's go to my material and switch that crosshair to my particle. Right. So the lifetime, the same. Maybe I can give a little bit variation. Go to, let's say, minimum from let's say 0.5 second to 1.5 second. Right. So now the initial size, the sparks needs to be small, so obviously I want to change that to, let's say, 4. The max is 4. Let's make it to, let's say, 8. Maximum 8. Minimum 4. Just pick a random value in between, like so. And the speed needs to be much faster than this. Okay, let's go to the initial velocity, and we're going to change my maximum speed to 800, and the minimum speed is 600. Okay, there we go. Okay, and so what I want to do here is I want to change my emitter location. So the location is from one point, like a one little point. So instead of using one point, I want to emit from a cylinder, maybe a sphere. Let's try to change this. So now my particles are it's emitting based on the cylinder shape. Okay, instead of from a point. Alright, so after this, I'm going to add another function. It's called orbit. Alright, I want to have this sparks to orbit moving up. Right, so let's just add this orbit. Then let's go to the color overlay and also give it a little bit of change. Let's say at 0, 1, and 0 second I want the color to be orange. And after 1 second, let's say after 1 second I want this color to be red. Right? Maybe after 1 second, after 0.5 second, after 0.5 second, 0.4. So I want to see more red sparks going on there. Okay, and also sparks needs to have a little bit of glow. So what I can do here, I'm going to add another function. It's called, let's go to color and scale color. Right? So the scale color is going to give us a more extreme looking particles. So I'm going to increase the red channel to 10, green channel to 1, let's say blue to 5. So I have a little bit glowing on the particles. Right? So let's save that. And that's basically what the fireball should look like. And let's drag this particle into the scene. Right. So what we can do here, you can use the same method to the fire. Let's say I'm going to add another color scale, just increase the brightness of the fire. Let's make it to constant. Let's change the red channel to, let's say 12. And it's too, oh my god, it's too red. Let's make it to 8 and 2, 2. There we go. And now I want to just have a little bit extreme lighting going on there. fireball, so that kind of fire will pop out from the game scene. So this is how I made my fireball in Unreal Engine 4. So if you guys have any concern or issues during the process, let me know or comment down below. I'll try to answer you guys as much as possible. So in the future, I might make more visual effects videos. So yeah, just stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.